Hello. So as we're talking about soils these days, I thought it's the best if to come down to my garden and have a look at what sort of life there is in the soil here. And what we see in the class, or what I'm talking about in this lecture, is only a small fraction of the life. So we could spend much more time on speaking about what actually is in here. And also, it's going to be a question, what sort of life do we have here? It's very little we know about the species that exist in the soil. Is still a field of research ongoing. So we have this kind of table in the PPT speaking about what sort of species or groups of life do we have in the soil, starting with vascular plants. So these are obviously plants such as my lettuce here. And then we see that there's macrofauna, including earthworms, ants, termites, but it's difficult to find these in the soil. So I just got this little, he's quite shy, this little land snail as an example. I wanted to bring a slug to show, but slugs exactly during the day are hiding in the soil, say, so it's very difficult to find them. So it's only this little land snail that I brought here as an example. And the problem with these would be that they all like to eat my lettuce. So they are definitely going to be herbivore type of animals, including snails and also slugs. So your time is over here. I don't need your help anymore. You can go and play, but far away from my feet. Ow. I also found is this little wormy animal. I'm not sure what he is, but definitely he's part of the soil life, and it's going to be macrofauna. Since we are able to touch it, we are able to see it. This kind of specification of types of life resemble how we're talking about like rocks, so silt or clay. To what extent are they visible, touchable to humans? So this is, again, small, but still macrofauna. And obviously, we need to talk about the earthworms. This one is also quite shy here. So the earthworms definitely are helping the soil quality. They're very useful. Partly because they are going to be the detritivores, so they are going to eat the dead bodies. And then if we start speaking about the mesofauna and the collembolans, these are much more difficult to find here in the soil. Microfauna would contain the nematodes, protists, fungi, and bacteria. Out of these, I just highlight the fungi in this case because that what actually gives the smell of the soil. So often if you say that you have like rotten food or out of date or dead food in your fridge, you can feel the smell of the soil or the earth, and that would come from the smell of the fungi. So here the fungi would be giving this white color to these pieces of wood, covering them. So that's one of the function of fungi, again, to break down biologically composed pieces of dead bodies. The different types of life in the soil will have a role in like being herbivores or detritivores or predators, But also here we can think about the chemical, biological, and also the ecosystem role of some of these animals. So if we think about the earthworm, or what we have here in the garden as well, a mole, Dishu, so the mole as well will be helping the structure of the soil. It's not looking at actually how chemicals are changing or how biologically it will be changing the structure, but really physically, as we know, Cratovinas will develop thanks to like the moles. And we can also think about how these forms of life are tied to like oxygen, to what extent they're aerobic or anaerobic, and also the source of energy, so whether they are autotrophic or heterotrophic. So there are different types of life here that we need to talk about, and this is really just a short summary in this lecture about the life in the soil.